morning, awesome saucers. We're just trying to give you that third update on hive number 11, which was the hive that we discovered wanted to swarm on us. We're just gonna go through it now and let you see what's happening, if the changes we made last time stop them or deter them from swarming, and if we have to do measures today again. Alright, so let's go. So what we know is that we moved up a couple frames from the bottom section that had a lot of nectar. Seemed as if it allowed more bees to come up here, but what we're gonna do is just take a quick check on them to see if they actually moved the nectar from up here and brought it down back. So this was one of the frames, which was a foundation sheet that they built out and started storing. Alright, so it still has its weight. That means they're still storing stuff up here in it. Alright, so that's a fairly good sign. I think this was one of the others. Trying to remember, I don't remember all of them. Yeah, this is it. So this was one of the other ones. Yeah, so it seems as if they didn't move back down much. They probably took a little bit back down, I'm not sure. Or it could be that the frames got reduced now that they're actually curing it into honey, because as they start curing the nectar, it reduces the moisture in there, and as the moisture reduces, the actual volume of it in the cells reduced as well. From our top view, we see that they made this nectar arch a little bit wider, and that's expected, especially when there's empty frames or foundation sheets beside it. So let's see if they actually started building out the foundation. That's the key thing. But we definitely want to look at every one of the frames just to ensure that they're not building any swarm cells on any of the frames. Alright, so this is as how we left it. A lot of nectar with the drone cells. Seen a lot of brood on this. Check the corners, no cells or swarm cells on that side. Check this side. Queen is actually on here. She was actually laying, guys. So the queen, I don't know if you can see her, she's to that side. She actually just laid into a cell right there, so that's a good sign. She's searching for space to lay. All right, so we have to drop this frame back in. I don't want to leave it outside. This, I think this was one of the frames that they've always been making the cells on. So let's see now, what are they doing? All right, so again, they've made more cells on this. They definitely want to go, guys, definitely. So this frame has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, and one over here make 4. In this frame, it's larvae. Eggs is all the way to the bottom section. Let me show you. Right here, there's all eggs. Larvae is in this, which is more than likely just hatched out recently. Queen is still in the hive, and they're still making swarm cells. So let's go. So I'll give you a better view of it. 3 on that side, and they're all finished. All finished, guys. So this little cup right here doesn't have anything in it, but the other 3, they're pretty much, they've finished those 3. All right, guys, you see right here, they're all eggs. We just have to continue with our measures of trying to prevent them from swarm. So let's just break off these cells one at a time. So that's 1, that's 2. I'm just taking off these little cups here, pretty much. This is 3, and then the 4th one here, all the way up here. So 4. Alright, so definitely this frame as well has been backfilled with nectar again. So they just keep backfilling the queen space on this frame. that frame was the empty frame I gave them. I actually forgot. So that's the built out comb I gave them. They backfill that with nectar. Alright, so let's check on this. Brood, larvae in the empty sections. They have a little cup there. So let's destroy this little cup here. They're making a fat nectar arch on this frame, and the reason is because the frame beside it is an empty foundation sheet. So that's what usually happens, guys. Alright, so let's see what they're doing with these foundation sheets. So they started to build it out. What they're using it for is all nectar. So I guess they prefer to use it for nectar than to actually give the queen space to lay into. It's crazy, right? Yep, it is indeed crazy. Brood as well. Smoke the corners and the bottom section, ensure that we're seeing it. We don't really want to shake them off too much. You can easily just smoke it and get them out of the way to spot where the cells are. And we see a little cup over here that they're trying to build. See if we can just smash that with this right here. Yeah, there's nothing in that. Next foundation sheet, you see they built this out. Seem as if they want to use this as stores as well. It's crazy, guys. Crazy, 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 crazy. Alright, so this is a mix of larvae, little pollen packed in. Alright, so you see this frame? This frame has free space at the bottom section. Larvae is being, not larvae, honey is being stored at the top section. But we're gonna move this into, closer into the brood section. And the reason why, you see, even though, you see all of this is nectar up top, right down here, all of this section here is free space for the queen. Both sides. So I'm gonna put this into the cluster. So where to put it is the next thing. So we know the queen is somewhere here. So yeah, that's where we're gonna drop it. So we're going to move that a little bit closer where the queen can come and lay into it. So what we did was to rearrange the hive a bit. Any frame that had brood, we put them back into that section together. Any frame that had stores and just stores, we try to put them on one side, right? We need to try and understand why a queen swarm, or why they want to swarm away. So essentially, swarming always comes from overcrowdedness, as well as limited space for the queen to lay into, right? So that's really what pushes them to swarm. So the first thing we tried is to give them 2 frames of built out comb. What they did was to backfill those 2 built out comb with all nectar, right? For some reason the queen never wanted to lay in it. We don't know if it was something was wrong with those frames, why they chose to store instead of lay. We did the second round where we gave them foundation sheets and 1 built out comb. They did the same thing with the built out comb. They put a lot of stores in the built out comb. So, and the foundation sheets, they started to build it out, but it seemed as if what they're putting in those built out areas is nectar. So it seems as if they're going to be backfilling those frames with nectar as well. But we're not sure yet. We're gonna wait till they finish build out those until we can be for sure what they're really gonna use it for. But the good thing is they're dispersing some of their energy into building comb. This time around we only found 1 frame with 4 cells, and it's always that frame we're seeing there where they're pretty much building the cells on. We opt out of taking out that frame because we see where it's hatching brood and the queen is pretty much laying back in that frame, and there's larvae in it and as well. So we didn't want to take away those brood frames. The next thing I'm going to try with this hive is the method of putting space underneath the brood cluster. So you see one of those shallows that I had taken off? What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the shallow underneath this deep box. Alright? And then see if that will deter them from further swarming. So we're pushing up this box pretty much, giving them the space underneath the cluster. The reason why we put this cover on top is because when we're lifting, we don't want the bees coming out at us, given that the top section is open. Alright? So that's why we just put a cover over it to ease off the pressure off of us when we're doing this. Alright, so we're gonna try and do this real quick. And we're gonna just drop this shallow on top of the bottom board. I feel like we can figure this thing out. Right? So that's what we're trying to do. If it doesn't work out in the long run, that's fine with me. It is something that's a learning experience for me. And the main fact that I'm sharing this with you, it's a learning experience for you as well. Another week, another swarm prevention. So remember guys, just a recap. First week, what we did was to give them empty built out comb. All I did was to backfill those combs with nectar. We don't know if it was something that was wrong with the combs, why they chose to store instead of the queen lay, or if it's just a natural thing when they're in a swarm tendency to do that. Second week, what we did was to move those combs that they backfilled up to the top section into the super, and we gave them 2 foundation sheets and a built out comb again. This time again, they backfill the built out comb. They're starting to build the foundation sheets, but they're not 100% complete. They're probably, each of them is probably about 30%. But based on what I see them build, they're putting nectar in them. So it seems as if they're probably gonna backfill it with nectar when it's built up. We won't know until they actually finish and we see the results. This time around, we're doing our next method of trying to prevent the swarming, because we did see swarm cells in it this time again. We're giving them the space below the brood section. Normally, space in the top section, the bees don't readily recognize that as space for the queen to lay, unless they have actually moved up themselves up there. What they recognize as space is the space below the brood cluster. So that's what we did. So when they're coming in through the entrance, they'll realize that they have to travel farther to go to where the queen is now. So that would give them that sense that there's more space in the hive. So we took one of the shallows. That shallow, we tried our best to ensure that it has worker cells comb in there. But most of the frames in there have foundation sheets, and we don't mind if they want to build out those foundation sheets and start laying in it. It's a risk we'll take, just to see if we can stop the swarming with this method. So we gave them the space below. We did a little bit of rearranging in the brood cluster, all the nectaring frames to one side of the colony, and put the brood frames on one side. Right, so in a sense they don't have this sense that there's a wall-to-wall situation. It's just one wall, so there's a honey section with pollen on one side, and then the rest is just section for them to expand into building comb with the foundation sheets. So that's what we did. So hopefully this combination method, we'll see what happens next week. As I said guys, normally the best way to stop it is to just remove the queen altogether and create an artificial swarm. So we would generally put the queen in a nuke box, shake off some bees, and probably give them a frame with honey and a couple empty frame and a foundation sheet for them to just re-establish themselves as a new colony. So in a sense you create an artificial swarm, and then just leave back this box with the cells, so one of those cells can hatch out and a new queen come and take over. That's usually the best method. Or additive or a plus to that is, instead of using back one of these queens, we could put a queen in there that we favor, right? As I said, it's just a learning process, so we don't mind. I know they're bringing in so much nectar. I don't know how this hive is finding so much nectar compared to the other hives that aren't finding nectar. I don't know, it's just crazy for them to, in the space of 2 weeks, backfill pretty much 4 frames that I gave them with nectar. It's crazy. I just wished they were doing it a little bit more productively and not in a swarm tendency, but that's just the life of this specific colony, how it wants to behave now, and we just have to just work with it. Alright, so that's pretty much the part 3 trial of how we stop a swarm. So this is good learning stuff for us all, so hopefully you tune in and get a piece of it, as well as leave suggestions what you think of this third method, if you think it will work and if you think it's effectively. So stay tuned to find out more. Alright, so guys, definitely thanks for tuning in. Your time was greatly appreciated. Just want to implore you to give the video a like, share with your friends, and definitely hit that subscription and notification bell so you can see when more videos come out. Peace out and enjoy your weekend.